Feels really stable. It's very windy today. It feels really stable. It, you know, you see me come down here, it's 30. And this will easily, look, it's just at 30. Definitely shifts. It's a cracking looking thing, isn't it? It looks a lot better than the X26. It's just, that X26 was just huge. And yeah, it's just a nice looking thing. It's nice with the mud guard as well. It doesn't show them on the website, but like I said, it comes with a rear one, and I've had to take it off because it was rubbing on the back tyre of my weight. So it's just an adjustment thing, but I didn't have time to fit it. So anyway, let's have a look at what we're dealing with. Let's start with the back. It's got a padded seat there. Wouldn't recommend carrying passengers on it, but if that's your thing. That really comfortable rear suspension. I've always been a fan of this since I've tried it out on the X20. Coming down to an Altus, Shimano Altus derailleur, and a nice derailleur guard there, and what is probably an 8-speed freewheel, not a cassette. Nice solid chain, double-sided chain ring guard. The main battery is sat under the seat and slides into there like that. And you've got the second battery in the bar in the folding section. I'll put the amperes for each battery up on the screen now. We've got 20 before spoked wheels with Chaoyang tyres. Nice metal pedals. There's a space on the back of there that you clip your rear mudguard, rear fender on, and it's only a quarter fender, so it's very small, but it probably does the job. Standard HRT 100 mid suspension. You can see the on-off button there for the battery, and then the locking mechanism sits there. You need a key to get this out. We've got the thumb throttle, we've got the horn, we've got the control buttons coming across to a nice display. A bit bright today, so it's not going to pick it up. We've got hydraulic brake levers, cable tidy, coming around to another hydraulic brake lever, and Shimano 8-speed trigger changer. Down to where you can see the adjustments that can be made on the crown forks. You won't see it in this light. It's a rear brake light and a nice bright headlight, and the ENGWE logo there. Look. They do like to get their ENGWE logos in, but all of these e-bike manufacturers do. Nice plastic fender, don't rattle. Dual piston hydraulic brakes. I think they're the Logans, but they've been rebranded as their own. Well, not even branded, but they're definitely pretty much identical to the Logan brakes. Nice strong kickstand, and the motor connectors, the metal motor connector that I like instead of that push to fit thing. I do like that. Having a push to fit one that went wrong on me makes a bit of a difference. You'll also see here that you've got the battery connector. You can have both batteries running at the same time, it doesn't make any difference, I do. Front brakes, hydraulic, 180 rotor. There's the clasp there and the lock. So it's currently unlocked. Now it's locked, you need a key to open that now. Big 750 watt motor there. Closer look at this rear suspension. Really is the Rolls Royce of rear suspension as far as I'm concerned. It's all you ever gonna need. Folding mechanism there. Standard tight clasp for folding and unfolding. Lots of travel on these forks. as much as you're ever going to need really. This isn't a mountain bike. And a look at the suspension geometry on this and how it works. X24. Yeah, it's a cracking looking thing. Let's go see what it rides like. So, that's the hill climb. I've got it in normal 5, which is, I don't really want to be using the sport mode, it's there, but I don't want to really be using it too much. And I think you only get a certain amount of time in sport mode anyway. So, but it's having absolutely no problems getting up this hill. Giving that around about, let's have a look, 1400 watts at the moment. And it's having no issues getting up here. I'm all out of breath. But you'd expect it from this big controller in here. I think it's 25 amps. And don't forget, I've got nearly 30 amps. 30 amp hours of juice on board. But yeah, one of the fastest it's ever come up here. I've got it unlocked today, so you can unlock it. And earlier in sport mode, with the whip back wheel lifted, lit 40 mile an hour. Obviously that doesn't transfer to the floor, because when you add in the rolling resistance of my weight and the tyres, that goes down. But the lighter you are, the faster it'll go. Right, let's get on and do the bypass run. See how we get on. Now, if I was a Deliveroo rider, this is the bike I'd get. I'd definitely get this, and the reason behind that is that it's not been built by some mate of yours in a garage somewhere, doesn't have dodgy batteries, isn't going to burn your house down, and gives you all the speed and power you need, plus 30 amp hours of range. That's a lot of range. It really is a lot of range. If you've got an average shift that takes you 30-40 miles, this is going to do it in past 5 easily. Really is. And it's going to do it in its speed. You're not going to be hanging around, are you? It's odd riding a cadence sensor again, you know, all that power as soon as you get into it, but it's a nice change. Takes me back to when I first started riding e-bikes. All cadence sensors, all the power. We weren't worried about this 15.5 mile an hour bollocks. Well, it's a nice day for it anyway, and they're off. So you just use the throttle to get going, and then your cadence sensor kicks in, and you're away. I've always said this would probably be the sweet spot in the X bike range, and it is. It already feels like it is. I'm not scared of falling off it, because every time I put my feet down on the other one, I was hovering on tiptoes. And as some of you saw in the review, just getting off it, I come off it. If I hadn't have been wearing an helmet, I'd be probably eating through a straw nowadays. So it's a reminder, always wear an helmet. No matter what any idiot tells you, oh, there's been studies for this, studies for that. I don't care, wear an helmet. You've got more chance of surviving a bike crash with an helmet on than you have without having one on. That's why motorbike riders wear them. And yes, did a brake test. This has the Logan copies I like, but it's a lot heavier on the bike. Oh yeah, these are fine. These are fine. This is a lot heavier bike than I usually ride around on. I'll put the weight up there now. But these brakes are fine. They could do with bigger rotors. Personally, I'd swap these right into 203s because of the weight of the bike. But the 2 pops are fine. As you can see, downhill, because of the weight of it and my weight, it shifts 31 miles an hour easily. Yeah, it's fab. Right, let's do the Benny Hill. This should have no problems getting up here, even at this weight. So, let's see how it does. I do like these 24-inch wheels. They're a good height for any rider that's over sort of 5'10". And they give you sort of like the best of both worlds. I'm wondering why they haven't made 23-inch wheels that sit between 20s and sort of 26s. Gone into the boost mode now, high power mode. Dropped a cog. Let's see how it gets up here using this. I'm just turning my legs going up here. There's just very little power coming in from me and it's doing 16 miles an hour. Pushing nearly 1400 watts mine. But yeah, absolutely no issues. So we're going to go partially the way up the hill. And we're going to do a start. So we stop. Right, get the throttle on, get the cadence sensor to kick in, and we're off. We're in normal mode, pushing over 1,000 watts, and coming up here is just like, well, it's a breeze, absolute breeze. My legs are basically just turning. And let's see if I can burn this battery out. So let's go. Let's go have a look around town. There's a bit of battery knock, which can be easily resolved with a bit of tape. It's no big issue. And it's quite common on these bar bikes, you get it on most of them really. And identifying battery knock when you know it's there and dealing with it stops you from knackering your battery up. So it's nimble enough. When you're going around town, it's reasonably nimble. It's not as nimble as a 20 before tyre, but it's nimble enough. Right, let's go check these tyres out for grip. Like I say, you can't understand the camber because of the camera angle, but it's a hell of a camber on here, and if I'm ever going to come off, it's going to be here. It's fine. Absolutely fine. So you can set this up to road legal. You can have it set to 15.5 miles an hour. You can turn the throttle off, because at this weight, 4 miles an hour on the throttle is just useless anyway. In fact, if you wanted it as legal, I'd just remove the throttle altogether. It's just absolutely pointless having it on here. Well, I wanted some fun today, so I wanted to see what this bike could do. And so far, I'm smiles per mile. Right, start off on pass 0, there's no pass on. I'm pedalling along on the flat, 13 miles an hour. So I wouldn't recommend. I've got really strong legs and you wouldn't enjoy it. You're probably better off at this stage, especially when it comes to this hill, getting off and pushing it. Going to pass 1, you can feel a bit of power kicking in. Pass 2. More power kicking in. Pass 3. You can see the speed going up. I'm in normal mode, not boost. Pass 4. And yeah, you can feel it kicking in. And this is quite a steep hill, so 15.5 miles an hour is quite good. And I'm basically just turning my legs at this point. Let's go into pass 5. Then it becomes something completely different. There's quite a jump between pass 4 and pass 5 actually. But yeah, quite a bit of pace. So here we are down at the canal. Nice day for it. So I thought we'd come down here today. I do like these 24-inch wheels. I do. And I've just bought a bike for myself that's got 24-inch wheels, so I won't be advertising it, I won't be doing any reviews for it. So as soon as we're down here, let's take it down to pass 1. Because we don't need any power down here really. In fact, make that pass 2. Make that pass 3. You can change the pass speeds in the settings, so you can get in there in the P modes and change the pass settings. You need to unlock that, and the unlock code to get in there is 1212. Let's have a bit of music. It's a lot nicer around here now they've cleaned it up. Yeah, it's a lovely day for it now. You can bang this back up to what you want when there's nobody about. It's just that when there's people about, you're just better off staying it under 10 mile an hour and going lower speeds, because people just walk out on you, especially when they don't hear you or not expecting you to come past. I'm loving this bike. It's a cracking e-bike, this. You know, you can tell after a few miles of riding how good it is, and it's just fun. It's how e-bikes should be, fun. And even if it's just 15.5 mile an hour that you have full throttle on, it just makes things easier with a cadence sensor. It makes a difference with a torque sensor too. You're just having that power on tap. But that, like I say, the torque sensor for me is just basically a throttle for your feet. It works the same way. And this is why I kind of like torque sensors, that you've got to put a bit of effort in. With this, it's just technically an electric motorbike for me, but it's so much fun. Go on, chap. You're welcome. The other thing is, these Chaoyang tyres, you've noticed me going on about them lately, how good they are, and they're good tyres. They really are good tyres. And I think I'm going to be limited on the 24-inch wheel bike that I've got on what tyres I can get, but I don't know what's on there, to be honest. I haven't really opened the box yet, but we'll find out. Thank you. Let's see if it gets to this nimble spot here. Morning. I think it's still morning. Yeah, this is a fun bike to be on. It's not that the legal limit ones are not fun to be on. They are. They're absolutely great fun to be on. But you feel like a grown-up when you're allowed to have a throttle on it, and it also feels that little bit, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. But yeah, they're just great fun to be on. All of them. If you haven't seen my video on the mental health benefits of e-bikes, you want to watch it. They're just brilliant for just taking you out of your headspace, just getting out and coming to places like this that you'd never normally really come. It was a long day out, but I really enjoyed it. You know, it's nearly 60 miles of riding. And for anybody that says, oh yeah, but it was an electric bike, you want to ride an electric bike for 60 miles and see how your perineum comes off at the end of it. Fun, fun, fun. It's a cracking looking thing. I do like these 20 before wheels, and they do make a difference to your riding style. I find it odd that they don't make a 23 instead of a 24, which sits between the 20 and 26. I don't know. But yeah, it's a good wheel size. As you can see, it's got a front bumper on. As you can see, it's got a front mud guard on. And it comes with a rear one too. They're plastic. They don't rattle, but the rear one was rubbing, so I took it off. It only needs adapting a bit. But I needed to get out and do the review today, so I didn't have time to mess about with it. And it is the sweet spot I always thought it would be in the X range. It was like the X20 just doesn't, 20 amp hours of range, and then the X26 is just too big. It's a monster of an e-bike, and this just sits perfectly in between. 30 amp hours of range ish. It's a big old range on these things, and it's just, you can go out for the day and just have fun. If you don't ride like an idiot, you're not going to get pulled over by police. And for me, if I was a delivery rider, this is the bike I'd get, as I mentioned before. Because you don't want something cobbled together in your mate's shed. Shit batteries that are going to burn your house down. Get something like this, it's all the bike you need. You can have this on full power, even at my weight, and get 40, 50 miles out of it. So yeah, it's a cracking thing. And the saddle's reasonably comfortable. It's a bugger to fit, but it's reasonably comfortable. But yeah, there's a lot to like about this bike. It's not overly massive like the X26. That thing, like I said, you've seen me get thrown off that thing when I caught my shorts on the thing. And if I hadn't been wearing an helmet, I'd be drinking. If I hadn't been wearing an helmet, I'd be eating my food out of a straw. I went head first into those bolts on the side of that wheel, and I wouldn't be here now. So remember, and I know I go on about it all the time, wear an helmet. Because as much as all the crap, I saw somebody put the other day, Dutch scientists have revealed that it's more dangerous to wear an helmet. Yeah, that's why all us motorbikers wear helmets, because, you know, we want to really do ourselves in when we come off of a motorbike. Don't read crap like that. Don't listen to crap like that. Just make sure you wear an helmet when you're out riding these things. You know, it has absolutely no problems over the bumpy stuff, look. Look, this is just like, look, nothing, not even the battery knock on it. Like I said, it does have a bit of battery knock and I can live with that. But yeah, just a fun thing, this. Loving it. Yeah, this thing shifts when you want it to shift. I thought it was the motor noise I could hear, and it's not. It's actually the tyre noise. It's a bit loud, but then you sort of get used to the thrill of hearing it actually. But not once today have I actually, apart from turning my legs round, well, maybe a couple of times, have I put any effort into turning this crank. It's all been the cadence sensor going straight to the motor. And I like that. It's just I wish all e-bikes were allowed to sort of do this up to 15 mile an hour off the throttle. I mean, right now I'm coming up to 27 mile an hour on the freewheel, and I'm going directly into the wind. I'm probably picking that up on the mic. It's really windy today. It's not often I beat those lights. I normally have to stop there. Yeah, once that cadence sensor kicks in, and it's about third of a turn, this thing, like a rat down a drain pipe, it just shifts. Don't get me wrong, I've got this on normal 5 and it's fast enough. You don't need that boost on as much as you think you would. In fact, I've only used it 2 or 3 times. This is fast enough. Right, let's get up the horrible hill. Coming down to about 50% battery left now, at 25 miles nearly. So, and this has been on full tap all day. So it does getting up here. Yeah, not a problem at all. I have had bikes that haven't made it up here, a couple of them. Because by the time I get to this point, you're never at a fresh battery. But yeah, no problems. I've had to put a bit of effort in there, but nothing to write home about. But yeah, got the cogs. Around town, its manners are excellent and it absorbs most of the bumps that I've been over, but there's some proper moon landing craters around Wakefield that, you know, it doesn't matter what you're riding on or in, But so far this thing's been brilliant. It's got a couple of fleas, and they're fleas that I expected, to be honest, but you can get past those. You know, keeping up with traffic's not going to be an issue around town. You know, like I said, this thing absorbs mainly nearly every bump I go over. And it's that Rolls Royce of sort of suspension it's got on the rear. But here's the other thing. Unlike the X26 I tested, which had no control over the suspension on the front, this has got graduated suspension, so I can adjust the softness and the rebound. And also something they put in on the LE20 and the L20 3.0 and the L20 3.0 boost. I think the other one's a Pro, I forgot to mention that. That you've got proper suspension on there now, not what they just give you. You can adjust the suspension. I don't know if it's really windy or it's just this new helmet's catching the wind, because my other helmet has side pads on and I don't really catch the wind as much. So if I sound like I'm shouting, it's because of the wind. Like I said, I'm now a big fan of these 24-inch wheels. They also seem to be like the X24 sweet spot. And like I said, this is the first bike that I've tried with 24-inch wheels on. And they're brilliant. So off-road, this thing, again, it shines. It absorbs all the bumps. Far better than a 20-inch tyre would. But yeah, off-road, no complaints whatsoever. So let's have a look at this off-road. Oh look, so that looks pretty. So before we start, let's just go over the unlocking procedure. It comes locked, so the throttle doesn't work. So to engage the throttle, you turn the bike off, both brakes, just in case, throttle down, turn the bike on, and hold those positions for about 15 seconds. Release, and then it's unlocked. To get into the pass settings, there's a code 1212, and that should allow you in there to get into the deeper settings in the pass. So the bike, I loved it, absolutely loved it, and it was a sweet spot in the range I always thought it would be. I actually like the X20. The X20 is a brilliant little bike, but it lacks range because of its weight. Unlike the X26, which I absolutely didn't like at all, and give it about 7 out of 10 in the review because of its weight and its size. It's absolutely massive, and I'm 6 foot. And I know I've gone about it, but you know, I fell off it, you know, just getting off it. And like I said, if I hadn't had an helmet on, I'd be eating food for a straw nowadays. It was just lucky I had my helmet on. Well, I wasn't lucky, I always wear an helmet when I'm on a bike. So yeah, absolutely brilliant bike. It looks like no other e-bike on the market. That's partly why I like it. It's a bit Marmite to some people. Some people like the look, some people dislike the look. They all think it looks a bit weird. Yeah, the speed's phenomenal. If you have it in sport mode and just lift that back wheel up and the accelerator, it goes up to 40 mile an hour, which transferred to pretty good speed on the road as well. I mean, I was getting, depending on what pass I was in, which setting I was in, because it goes eco, normal and sport. If I was in sport mode, I could easily get up to about 28, 29 mile an hour on the flat, which really has a go at that battery, or batteries. There's two batteries. One's 19.2 amp hour and one's 10 amp hour. So it's nearly 30 amp hours of range, which is enough for anybody. I don't care who you are. And in total, I could have probably got 45 miles out of it on the day, and I pretty much all day I had it in past 5 in normal, which was really putting a strain on the battery. I think it's 25 amp controller in there, so yeah, I mean, I really pushed this bike to the limits. There weren't a lot of hills I didn't go up. Yeah, phenomenal. It didn't struggle with anything, and while you see me riding, I'm just turning my legs round. That cadence sensor just transfers the cadence to the motor, and I didn't really put a lot of effort in all day. What do I like about this bike? Well, I do love those 24-inch wheels. I think they're a game changer. It's the first bike I've ridden with 24-inch wheels on. I've recently bought myself a bike for me. It's 24-inch wheels, and now I'm glad I did. And yeah, it's they're totally different. They absorb more of the road bumps, along with that suspension that's on the bike, which I always consider to be the Rolls Royce of suspension. Unlike the X26, the front crown fork was adjustable. The one on the X26 was just, this is it and this is what you get. It was just hollow tubes. It was good enough, it did the job really well, but now I've got the ability to adapt the suspension to fit me. So yeah, I like that a lot. I've always liked that display. The display works really well, gives you all the functionality that you need. It's not massive, it's not oversized. I do like that. And I like the thumb throttle. It makes such a change riding around on a bike that's doing what we all hope e-bikes will become at some point, that we're allowed to have these sort of things on the road. But you know, every time I see something on the news about e-bikes, it's just amplified. And I just think it's the petrol companies behind it, and the motorbike companies and the car companies behind it, because if we were allowed to have bikes like this, the sales would go down, people would get rid of their second car. You know, these are really, really fun e-bikes. And I'm not saying like the legal e-bikes aren't fun. They are fun. I mean, I've got so used to riding around within those constraints that I don't mind it anymore. But every now and again, when you get out on a bike that's unlocked, you remember what it was like when I started e-biking about 5 years ago, and you think, oh, I don't know, I'm probably just reminiscing, being a little bit romantic about my old bike. But yeah, that 750 watt motor peaks out at about 1500 watts, and it does the job really well. So let's get down to some of the negatives. The bike's heavy. It's not a light bike, it's 40 odd kilos, and that equates around to nearly £90. It's not the lightest weight in the world. It was an extremely comfortable ride as well. I mean, it was a nice position for me, and I'm 6 foot. So I recommend this bike for anybody to about 5'8" to about 6'5". And any shorter than that, and this bike's too big for you, you're better off with the X20. But out of the X range, this is, like I said, I always thought this would be the sweet spot, and it definitely is. Negative side, there is a bit of tyre noise. I won't too keen on that. And then we've got the battery knock. And all three bikes suffer from battery knock. And it's not a big deal. You just need to identify it. You'll hear the knocking. You'll probably think it's a suspension. It's not. It's battery knock. And a bit of tape resolves that. If you don't resolve it, you end up with going on ENGWE E-Bike's Facebook page and saying, look what's happened to my battery, it's shit, it's this, that and the other. It's not. It's because you have battery knock, you didn't deal with it, you didn't understand it, and your battery started sparking, and sparking causes this. So yeah, the battery knock's not a big deal if you know what it is now to identify it. And like I said, all three bikes suffer from it. This one not as bad as the others. The tyre noise, yeah, the tyre noise was a bit excessive. I think that might be down to the compound, but the compound on the tyres is really good. On road, off road, it's got really good grip. So all round, when you take out those couple of negatives, what can I say? There's a bit of spaghetti up front. You can see the wiring's a little bit spaghetti junction up the front, and that actually goes along the bike as well. But it's no big deal. You sort of get used to not seeing these things on bikes now, because e-bike companies are starting to try and hide all the wires within the frames, and they're kind of better for it. But then when it comes to repairs, your wires are there in front of you. You don't have to go deep diving into stuff to get at them. So where are we at? Well, I've got to give it a score. I'm going to try and keep this short today, because I've got 2 more bikes to review this week. And I'm kind of busy with work. It's my busiest time of the year, so I need to give it a score out of 10. And I'm going to give it 9.5. It was so much fun. I really enjoyed riding it. I really enjoyed getting that pace up. It was, I don't know. I mean, if I was a Deliveroo rider, and I've said this during the video, this is the bike I'd buy. You've got range for days. If you use it in normal mode, on pass 3, you're going to get, and don't forget I weigh 240 pounds with my pack on, and it's quite heavy, 17 stone. So let's say you're 14 stone and you're going around on pass 3 and you're on sort of normal mode, you're going to be getting yourself 60 miles easily, 60 miles range, maybe even more. It's a lot of range from a bike, and it's all the range you'll ever need. I don't care what sort of shift you're doing as a Deliveroo rider, this is enough. And like I said, it's not something your mates cobble together in his shed, and with crap batteries, just no BMS, bad controller. You come home from your shift, you plug it in, the batteries are still hot, and this is where you get house fires. This is a far more safe thing to be riding round on. Is it worth the money? I think so. Of all the 3 X bikes, this is the most value for money e-bike that comes along in the X range. And within that, it stands out. It stands out in lots of ways across all the ENGWE e-bikes. And like I said, it's original look. There's no other bike out there on the market that looks like it. I really like it. I really do like it. Yeah. So scoring it, 9.5 out of 10. It deserves every point of that. I normally knock down some points on the bike because it's not necessarily legal, is it? But this was so much fun. The fun factor overrode everything on this bike. So yeah, I really enjoyed riding around on that for the day. Coming up, well, the new ENGWE EP Boost, which I'm reviewing this week, and later on in the week I will be reviewing my first dual motor e-bike. So that should be fun. I've nipped around the estate on it and it's brilliant, fast, and it's got torque for days. So yeah, that's coming up. Please subscribe. I do go on about subscribing every time I do a video. My subscription numbers are going up, which is brilliant. And don't forget, there's a discount code, pretty much the same as everybody else's, but yeah, there's a discount code. So if you're thinking of getting this bike, there's a good discount code in the description of this video. And coming up at the end of this video, you should see some links to some other videos, which will be the X20, the X26, my video on my favourite e-bike at the moment, which is the Engwe L20 3.0 Pro, and probably the mental health benefits of e-bike riding. So they should come up at the end. Have a nice week, everybody.